There are a number of ways to facilitate the procurement of stock through Iris Exchequer, and one of the simplest ways is just to add a purchase order, which you can do from the purchase order daybook, which we access via the speed bar. So we click add and we open up a transaction dialog, and the first thing that we need to do is enter in the account code. Now if I don't know the account code, I can enter /, which will then bring up a supplier code list which I can select from, or alternatively, if I know the code, I can quite simply type in that code, hit return, and it'll populate the address for me. Dates are all populated by default, so the next thing to do is now to add a transaction line. So similar sort of principle here, entering in the stock code, I can enter part of the stock code or the entire stock code. I've entered part, hit OK, and what I have now is a list of stock items whose products begin with that code. So I'm now going to select the item I require. So just tab my way through the fields, so the location code is populated, pop in my quantity, go through my cost there, I've got my GL codes, my cost center and departments, all coming from the defaults of the stock record. Say OK. Store it all away, and there we go, that purchase order is raised. But if I was going to be purchasing a lot of items from the same supplier, perhaps a more efficient method would be to use the interactive reordering in Iris Exchequer, which is accessed via the stock list. Now the stock list is not dissimilar to the stock tree. It's basically a list of all the stock items in the inventory that you hold, and I have the same drill down facilities here as I would do from the stock tree. But with the stock list open, what I'm going to do is click onto the reorder tab. So this is still my stock items listed. I'm just going to resize the screen, as you can do throughout Exchequer. Now the first thing I'm going to do on this screen is I'm going to filter it by location, because Exchequer supports multi-location stock. So I click on the location button, select the filter and type in my location code, which is AAAA. Say OK. So that list is now filtered at that stage. So the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to filter that list further, and all I'm interested in is those items that are provided and sold by Farnell. So I can type in the account code here and say OK, and this is using the preferred supplier field that is on the stock record itself. So now my reorder list is just listing those items that are supplied by the supplier Farnell. Now I have other information on the screen here as well. I have minimum stock, on order, need, and an order quantity, and this is all governed by the minimum stock and the maximum stock fields that are on the stock record themselves as well. But to make this list even easier, what I can do now is filter it by the minimum stock. So what this is going to do is only going to show those items in the list that are below my minimum stock level. So that's made the list really easy to use from here on in. Now what I could do now is go through and quite simply raise my order quantities by double clicking on one of the stock items and just populating the order quantity at the screen there. But perhaps a more efficient method would be to do this automatically. So what I can do is use the auto set button, and by clicking that, what that'll do, it'll automatically populate my order quantity by the difference of my minimum stock and maximum stock, which is governed by my need quantity. So everything that's in bold is now going to be put onto a purchase order. So now I quite simply come down the list and hit the process button. A little confirmation to make sure I want to do that. I'm going to say OK, and now Exchequer will go off and work that through. I'm just going to select this to go to screen now, and what I do if I say OK, it'll go off and complete the raising of that purchase order, and it'll print a copy of the purchase order to screen for me. So there you can see my purchase order on screen with all those items done just from a few clicks of the mouse. All the information is on there. And if we just closed off the stock list and just go back into the purchase order daybook, so again from the speed bar, scroll down to see the bottom of the list there we go, and just open up that purchase order, and there you will see all those items that we raised via the interactive reorder based on my minimum and maximum stock quantities. Very quick and simple process, efficient, time-saving stock procurement by using the Iris Exchequer interactive reordering.